Not the Sean Paul, but a Sean Paul was at the No Kings meeting yesterday. And it wasn't a protest, it was just a meeting to talk about what we could do in these horrifying times. But that's enough jokes. This is a very serious, very sad topic, but there is some hope. And the important things in times of these, I read a book by an Auschwitz survivor when I was, I want to say 20 years old, and he said the way he survived was to remain hopeful. So staying hopeful in these dark times is important. So at the meeting, our state representative, or at least one of our state representatives, was there, as well as the local town mayor. And I thought that was great. They said they had a special speaker, and me and my mother were debating who could that be. I knew it was going to be one of the three state representatives. I'm writing about every issue that I feel strongly about, which is pretty much everything that Trump does, which is against the Constitution. So I've been writing them a lot. And so it was nice because I don't really know what this woman looks like. It was nice to put a face to the person I've been writing. So I was really happy about that. The state representative was highly insightful. She was very informative, and she had a lot of very poignant discussions to bring out. First, the one I want to talk about is she talked about how the government is now shut down due to healthcare disputes, but really it's because there is a Democratic representative that has been the longest since she's been elected to be sworn in, who would be the tie-breaking vote for releasing the Epstein files. But MAGA Republicans are disguising it as saying the Democrats are trying to give health care to illegal immigrants. And I just want to mention here very quickly that the state representative, a Democratic state representative that I just heard speak, made absolutely no mention about providing health care to illegal immigrants, and said rather she wants to do it for people in poverty around the United States of America. U.S. citizens is who she's trying to give health care to. She also praised, ironically, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and said that, there's a huge shift in her perspective when, her kids aren't getting access to health care. But the state representative also said it should be about more than just your kids not receiving health care. It should be about people who are starving, who don't have enough money, that work at Walmart or Amazon and are on food stamps because billionaires aren't paying them high enough wages, not receiving health care. That should really upset the representative, more than all her constituents and not just her children. But still, it's a shift forward, she said. She went on to talk about how the ICE is detaining U.S.-born citizens in our state who have brown skin and no criminal record. This is a woman that can see the legal process and confirm whether or not these people are criminals or not. And someone in my comment section was like, why would you have a problem with ICE detaining criminals? But they're not detaining criminals. They are racially profiling brown-skinned people and going after anyone that they feel doesn't meet their white supremacist narrative. And I heard a state representative say that there was this man that was detained in recent days who was released last Friday, so just like 3 or 4 days ago. I'm not really sure. Time is relative. But he was very recently released, and they arrested him because he had the same name and he was brown like the person they were looking for, who was a criminal. So since they had the same name, they went after this brown-skinned man who also had brown skin but no criminal record, and chose to keep him for months. They kept him for as long as possible. She said that they were illegally holding him longer than was necessary, and they finally released him on bail on Friday. And she said she was looking at the paperwork, and it said in big block letters on his record, no criminal record, like on his paperwork. So this man was not a criminal. He was a U.S.-born citizen. He was here legally, and ICE was holding him captive. So ICE isn't going after criminals, they're going after brown people and saying they're criminals just for being a different race, which is unconstitutional beyond belief. She also told a story that almost made me want to cry about a family that lives in my city, a legal, no one in there is a criminal, and again, she can verify their criminal records because she's a state representative, and she said they are not illegal citizens. They are not criminals, and they have holed themselves and hidden themselves in their house for over 2 weeks, not even going grocery shopping because they are so afraid of ICE detaining them. And that people that are with the No Kings movement will come to their door to provide food and drop off food in front of their doorstep for them since they're not going to the grocery store. And they are afraid to even open the door for people that they know are with them because, in Nazi Germany, people were betraying the Jews and they're afraid of that happening to them in this day and age. It's absolutely horrifying. This is Anne Frank level terror in the hearts of the citizens. And it makes me so upset that there are people out there, especially on YouTube, attacking me for having a problem with blatant genocidal tactics and pro-fascism movements. And they're like calling me an idiot because I believe brown people have the right to live on this land as we do, especially if they're legal citizens. Immigration was the heart of America. George Washington fought for immigration. Those people that came over on the Mayflower and took over the United States from the indigenous people, they were immigrants. Those same white, North Americans weren't white by default. Most of us had brown skin like the Mexicans do. And it was just because the Europeans came over and dominated the land that now most Americans have white skin. It's not due to evolutionary process. But again, most of these MAGA Republicans don't even believe in evolution. So I could go on and on about that for a very long time. I'm very passionate about that. But the food drive provided, this is the good news. The food drive that happened at No Kings, the last protest that I told you about, provided thousands of pounds for both red and blue people who don't have access to food stamps right now. Because the people involved with the No Kings process don't believe in starving our political opponents for political reasons and that food should be accessible to everyone. Because right now the Trump administration is trying to cut SNAP from all U.S. citizens as a negotiation tactic to get what they want, which is just criminal and unlawful and just blatant fascism. He shouldn't be starving people to get what he wants. This is the first time in history that SNAP has ever been denied to U.S. citizens during a shutdown, and that is absolutely an outrage. So it was good to hear that the food drive happened. And then at that meeting, more food was dropped off. My mother and I, well, it was mostly my mother's contribution. She after brunch yesterday, she went to the grocery store and she found all of these items on sale it wasn't anything like gourmet, let's put it that way, but she found noodles that were on sale, which is rare because most things have been hiked up in price at least up to 25%, from 10 to 25% since the Trump administration started. And she donated quite a hefty amount, and I'm proud to call that woman my mother because she has a big heart, and I'm really grateful that I was raised by someone who truly cares about the people she's around, especially knowing she was born in a red state where, people are racist and don't believe in helping other people out. So it was really, really good to see. But anyway, we got this whistle they were passing it out when you entered the building where we meted, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why they're giving us a whistle. I had theories why they were giving a whistle, but it was basically what they said. So they started a movement, these little red whistles called the Whistle Brigade, where if you see ICE or ICE trucks detaining an individual, you pull out your whistle, and I'm going to start keeping it on my wrist and taking it with me everywhere. You keep your whistle on you, and you You surround ICE, you peacefully surround ICE. You do not engage them, but you start filming them because you can legally do that, and you start blowing your whistle to let them know what they're doing is wrong and you don't believe in it, especially if these people are most oftentimes legal citizens. And hopefully, when you're blowing the whistle, more people will start to surround them and intimidate them to leave, to let them know that what they're doing is wrong. And apparently it works. It's completely peaceful. We're not instigating anyone. We're not attacking anyone. We are defending people that are being wrongfully detained by ICE. And it's apparently a really useful strategy because they start to realize that what they're doing is awful and it gets to them consciously. But we are not attacking them. We are not threatening them. We are not even getting in the middle of their arrest. All we are doing is surrounding them and whistleblowing. So I'm a generic whistleblower. I'm part of the red whistleblower brigade. And I hope in the future this is something they talk about in history books, being part of the whistleblower brigade, because this feels like a movement here. It feels like history is happening in front of me. So the state representative went on to talk about how she's trying to make it illegal for ICE to wear masks and not properly identify themselves, which it technically already should be, since every other law enforcement agency doesn't wear face coverings and has to wear proper identification. It's like ICE is imitating the tactics of the KKK and, the Gestapo by wearing these face masks and hiding their identities. It's incredibly criminal. It really feels like we are living in 1942 Germany repeat. Like, there are so many parallels in what Trump is doing. He's basically following Hitler's textbook Rise to Power, like step for step, and he's even quoting things Hitler said, but changing them instead of being about Jews to Mexicans. And people don't even see that. I think some people are all right with that. Trump isn't making the United States a fascist country. He's already made it a fascist country, and it's time for those Republicans to wake up and realize the monstrosity we are living in. This is an authoritarian regime by all accounts. It has met the 10 criteria for an authoritarian regime, and if you don't start fighting back peacefully and exercising your First Amendment to peacefully protest, we are going to start seeing our rights disappear, and people that voted for Trump are going to be getting detained just because they don't match what Trump wants in a person. The discrimination is going to get worse. If you support ICE detaining Mexican children with cancer, please just admit you are racist, all right? Because that is not a criminal. That is a child with cancer. Portland is not a war zone. I'm going to include a link for a session right outside the ICE facility that just happened in recent days, where a group of people are out there doing yoga and jazzercising, and people are trying to say that these are violent protesters. These aren't violent protesters. There are many examples of ICE unlawfully detaining peaceful protesters and straight up using brutal force against these people, police brutality in all accounts. And there are currently trials going on about how they are just beating people down who come not even over the line that they've set for their property lines, but just close enough to them that where they're in arm's reach. They haven't trespassed, but these ICE have tackled and dragged them without their clothes on over their line to detain them unlawfully. Usually they end up getting released with no charges. So it's like, why is law enforcement attacking peaceful protesters? That is a violation of our Constitution. But anyway, the goal is to remain 100% peaceful, and if you see something, say something and record it. They're working on a platform that's better than just Instagram or Reddit, where you can videotape these kidnappings ICE is participating in and post them online to hopefully make sure that these people don't disappear and die in death camps like they did in Nazi Germany. But as soon as I got home from the meeting, I went on a walk because I was so troubled, and that's what I do to clear my mind. It was about 6 o'clock in the evening. It was dark out because, it's fall time. And my stalker is very vehemently MAGA Republican. Her name's Tiffany. She's drawn swastikas in the streets. She's an open pedophile. She's supported Donald Trump 3 times in his election campaign. And so I went on a walk, and I was down the street from my house where there's a park where I walk by every single day. And I had flashbacks because there was this car that was parked like maybe 50 feet in front of me at the park. In the same place my stalker Tiffany parked her gray sedan with the vanity license plate "Oh You Wish" that shot at me several times almost 2 years ago exactly. And I started thinking that's really strange because this isn't a car in the neighborhood, and it looks like it's like scoping me out. And I thought about it, and I was like, but Tiffany has been told not to harass me anymore, so I'm hoping that it's just all in my head. But I am very scared because it's almost the anniversary of the time I was nearly murdered. And as soon as I got closer to it, it kind of like drove off and sped faster than the speed limit out of the neighborhood. And I thought that was really weird. It just the whole situation just wrenched my gut. So then I'm like 2 minutes away from my house, and the car speeds off. I get into my home, I lock the door, and I start walking up the steps to my room. Not even 15 seconds after I close the door, there's a huge explosion just in the same direction the car drove. And I'm like, holy shit, this is just giving Tiffany flashbacks because this is what Tiffany did on my birthday. She called me several times on my birthday and dropped bombs at the same time she was calling me. And it just terrified me because I thought this woman was done. But then again, my mailbox went missing a couple months ago, and I don't have any proof it was Tiffany. Like, I don't have any proof the person in the car yesterday was Tiffany, but they all fit Tiffany's MO, and I don't know who else would be doing that in the neighborhood. So I'm very, once again, scared for my life because I really feel like a MAGA Republican is going to gun me down because I didn't find Belle Delphine interesting. So anyway, thanks for watching me. This has been a really long video. Hopefully you stuck through. If you did, I really appreciate you, even if you don't agree with me, and I hope you have a great day. God bless you. Goodbye.